Okay, so today I have a really interesting one coming for you because in today's video, I'm going to break down the entire playbook top to bottom that generates $500,000 a month like clockwork for our clients from DM setting specifically. Now, there's a lot that I'm going to go over in this video. It's probably going to be quite a long one. So if you're new to the channel, welcome. Happy to have you. Very honored to have you here. Don't forget to drop a sub so you're up to date with all the new videos that I'm going to be posting. I'm typically going to aim to post in between 2 to 3 videos per week. And if you're already a subscriber and you're coming back, welcome. I got a really cool one here for you today, and we're going to go super in depth. I'm going to break down the entire process and system behind it. Now, before I get too ahead of myself here, so my name's George Nida. If you don't know me yet, I'm the founder of DMsetting.com. We're the biggest staffing and management DM setting company out there in the info space. I've generated over $50 million in high ticket sales through DM setters that I've led in the past 3.5 years since I joined this industry. And right now we're generating just over $2 million a month with the process that I'm about to share here for our clients combined. This is my website. If you want to take a look at it, we've worked with people such as Jeremy Miner, Paul Hilsey, Matt Gray, and many others. If you're going to go to dmsetting.com, you're going to be able to see all of that stuff. And we've been able to generate results such as 450K months, $57,000 days, 320K months, $1 million quarters right here, $47,000 days, 6x growth within the span of 4.5 months here, and many more. I'm not going to go too in depth into that. What I am going to go in depth into today is the entire process behind $500,000 a month. So that being said, everything starts with Instagram, or generally a social media platform. We just have the best success with Instagram. It's the least restrictive platform, the most flexible one. We're able to do the most. We're able to push the highest volume on Instagram. We really like Instagram, especially when there's a decent amount of following involved with this platform. Now, this also works for Facebook. Obviously, it's also going to work for Twitter. It's also going to work with LinkedIn. So we're doing it on those platforms. Just Instagram takes the #1 spot here for the overall best platform to do it. Now, the way we drive traffic typically through the DMs is not only through call to actions. I'm going to go super in depth into this, and I'm going to show you guys examples. The other way we drive traffic here is we send outbound messages to followers. Now, I have another full video somewhere on this channel that breaks down the entire process behind it and the conversion metrics and how it all works and typically what the split is, but we typically have a 50-50 split between call to actions and outbound messages to followers, to new followers and existing followers. Again, I'm not going to go in depth in this video into outbounds because I have other videos on the channel that are going to cover that. So we have the call to actions here, and they typically break out into 2 different types of call to actions. So we have story call to actions and post call to actions, and each of those call to actions, they break down into 2 different other call to action styles. We have direct call to actions, and then we have resource-based call to actions. So just to zoom in here a little bit and show you guys, this is a great example of a resource-based call to action. So it's a screen recording here, like a video done with a phone that says, hey, testing a new creative strategy that prints. Give me the word creative for the dog with a breakdown. Must already be spending money to apply this. And whenever we do this, we get like 300 DMs, which is super good because then we have a lot of people here that we can speak with that we can set. Another one here, which is a great one. I built an AI that analyzed 1,200 top performing Facebook ads across 7 different niches. Give me the word trend and I'll send you the list, right? Whenever we do this, again, we get like 200 to 300 DMs, which is super cool because then our DM setters are super busy and they have a lot of them. Now, another example here is a story sequence that leads into a call to action. As you can see here, you can pause the screen and read through it. Another one is a more aesthetic one here from Matt Gray, which is also one of our clients. Raz as well, one of our clients. Then we have a couple of other ones, right? So again, one with a prompt here from our ecom client. And then here, another little sequence that you could look into that you can get inspiration from. But you get the point. Obviously, those are going to be primarily resource-based. The resource ones lately work super well. The key here with the resources, though, is don't just reuse them. If you have a mini course, for example, don't just reuse that every single time because then you tend to get diminishing returns. Whenever you launch new stuff, and this is a great example here, like creative, trend, product, it's like we typically aim to have new call to actions every single week that we constantly cycle through, which is super helpful because that keeps the audience engaged, and that gets even like people that we had conversations with that might have not ended up into a call booked or a call proposal, gets them back into the inbox, gets them to resurface, spikes their interest again, and then we have another opportunity to set them. And then we basically have a very similar thing for posts, right? So for example here, just comment me on this post and I'll show you how to do the same. This is a mini course call to action from one of our clients. Same thing here, right? A bunch of reels and stuff that you can go over. This one here, person brand meeting system. This was a really good one. We got a lot of opportunity from this one with a call to action at the end. Yeah, some more examples here. You can just pause the video. I'm not going to go through all of them. I'm sure you're very familiar. If you've been in this industry, if you're watching this video, I'm sure you're familiar with how all of this works. Just want to show you some examples from majority of those people in here are our clients. Then what we do from those call to actions is we funnel people into ManyChat. So we have an entire ManyChat flow. Whenever we have someone that comes into the inbox, through either a comment or a story response or just a direct message. Then we basically take them through an entire flow here in ManyChat where we assign between the DM setters. We make sure we're not sending resources twice, have some delays here, and we're really making sure that we're collecting the data as well through the tags. And that's how it's pretty much set up. I can do another video just going super in-depth into ManyChat because this is really just scratching the surface. We have an entire infrastructure built out in ManyChat. This is kind of what it looks like typically. So we have the trigger, and then we see if we've sent it before, then we would just not send it again, obviously. And then if we haven't sent it before, which means it's a new lead, then we're basically going to split it equally across the 3 setters. What we typically do here for lead assignment is initially when we start working with teams, I always like doing first come first serve basis between all of the DM setters. This is what we did for many months, even with the team where we're doing this. And then after we have the proven teams, after 3, 4, 5 months, then we're gonna just do equal distribution of the lead flows, like 50-50 if we have 2 people, or 25% each if we have 4 people, or 33 if we have 3 people, just like in this case right here. But only after we have a proven very stable team and we know we're not going to compromise on speed to lead. But what matters and what you got to know is from ManyChat, basically we split into 3 different paths here. So each of the DM setters is going to have their own pipeline and their own leads that they're going to get attributed to, and then we have the entire DM flow. Now stay tuned on this. I have an entire video coming on the exact DM flow for B2C specifically that we're following right now that gets those kind of results for our clients. This is just a visual representation here of what it's gonna look like, but I'm gonna go a lot more in depth in that next video when I'm gonna break this down fully. But we take them to the DM flow. We have a very specific set of questions, and we're very strategic with the questions that we're asking, but more importantly, the order in which we're asking those questions to create the maximum amount of compliance in conversations. So the way it typically works is we would basically ask them, hey, what motivated you to reach out? What has you looking into something like this to begin with? Then we would explain the business model if it's B2C, and a lot of those examples and a lot of what I'm going to talk in this channel about is going to be for B2C offers. Now we work with B2B as well and we're doing great. B2B is just a slightly different process, so I'm going to have slightly different videos breaking down the B2B process. But going back to B2B, we're going to explain the business model here. Typically through a voice note, we get really good conversions whenever we do a voice note. If you don't know how to do voice notes, you can automate it through ManyChat. It's super easy. You can do another video when I break down the entire ManyChat structure and show you how we're doing it. Then we're going to go into current situation and pain points. Cool. Walk me through what is in your day-to-day. What does your job look like? Why do you want to build an additional stream of income? Why do you want to replace your income, right? So we're kind of building a gap here. Current situation, pain points, and then we go into desired situation. We want to get a tangible goal. So tangible means there's a number attached to that goal, which means for me to replace my income, I need to make 10K per month, or I want to build an additional source of income that's, $5, $6, $7, $8,000 a month. That's a tangible goal. So that's what I always want to get in conversations. And it gives me the highest likelihood that this lead is actually going to come through and not only convert into a call proposal, but actually convert into a booked call. So from here, obviously the next logical step is going to be the call proposal. From there, we send the booking link. From there, we obviously book the call. Now, I want to go over a couple of best practices here for the booking links and what our qualification process looks like to make sure that we're setting the closers up for maximum success on the sales call and that we're putting really good high quality people on the sales call with the closer. So that being said, the first most important thing here is we have a 72-hour booking window max. I really don't like booking people further out than this. If you're a little bit more advanced in business, you're already aware of this and you're likely doing this. If you're not doing this and you're letting people book out 5 days out, then your show rate's gonna tank and then you're just not gonna be happy. You're gonna be very sad, just like this, okay? So you don't wanna do that. 72 hours max, that's the best practice. That's how we're able to get 65% plus show rates with our DM setters. Now, once someone goes in here, obviously, you can get whatever details you want to get from them, email, phone number, full name. But our 2 most important ones for us are those 2 questions here. So we only work with students, have sufficient startup capital. You got to have at least 5 to 8K USD. Do you have it? And then we have, yes, I have the funds. I have access to the funds. And then no, I do not have the funds. So this is qualification question number 1 for us. And then qualification question number 2, we're basically asking for their income, right? So what best describes the situation in USD? Typically, we would find this out in the DMs as well. This is just basically allowing us to double check that what they told us in the DMs is accurate with what they put down on the form to really maximize or to really increase the chances of making sure that we're putting the best quality leads on the calendar. So we have unemployed, making less than 40K a year, 40 to 100 or 50 to 100, and 100K plus per year. So those are the 2 qualifier questions that we're using right now. And then obviously pair that with a 72-hour booking window to maximize show rates and to maximize the qualification of the leads. So right here, after someone books a call, we have 2 outcomes. Obviously the first one is qualified and then we're happy, or the second one is they're not qualified and we're gonna have to reach out to the lead, to the DMs, and qualify them. So in that case, what we're going to do is, if this is the case, we're going to reach out in the DMs, we're going to send a qualification message where we're going to double check finances, and if there's some sales resistance, we would handle that to make sure we lower their guard, we lower their sales resistance, and we don't do it in a salesy way. So just double check finances and basically frame it in their best interest so that they can get the best help and support from our team. And then if that doesn't work, then we're going to go into credit and we're going to explore their credit if they don't have the finances. We're typically here looking for a 620 to 650 plus credit score, but this really does depend on the offer and the financing options that we have. And from there, if they have the credit or if they have the finances, then we're going to consider them as a qualified lead, in which case we're happy and we're going to keep them on the calendar. And then in the other case where they don't have the money, then we're just going to downsell a low ticket offer, or we're just going to send free resources depending on the offer that we're working with. Sometimes we have a $90, $197, $497 that we just have a downsell flow in the DMs that we're taking people through. And then other times we just have free resources because we don't have a low ticket offer. So it doesn't really matter. This is not like that much money. It doesn't make us that much money. It makes us maybe $10, $15, $20,000 a month whenever we do it. So yeah, not that big of a deal. Going back to the qualified leads here. So once the lead is qualified, what we're going to do over the DMs, the job is not done yet. We're going to send a thank you and the homework page. And typically what I'm seeing here as best practices for the thank you or homework page, we have an expectations video that's 2 to 3 minutes that says, hey, be in a quiet place, be in a quiet room, make sure you're on your laptop. So it's really just setting the stage and setting the expectations. Then we have a nurturing video on the page itself that explains the process. And what we typically like doing with our clients in the nurturing video itself is at the end, we will ask leads to confirm over DMs once they watch the video by sending a specific keyword. We really like this because it creates a lot of compliance, and typically the people that confirm tend to show up at a very, very high ratio. Outside of that, on the homework page, we have testimonials, we have some objection handling videos, and then we have some client wins or results. This is super, super effective here. If you guys know Jeremy Haynes, this is where we got this from, and it helps us kind of set the stage, and it really takes a lot of strain off of us as DM setters in the inbox because we no longer have to deal with those questions. They're just being answered, or we can at least reference the page for getting those questions answered. So that's super good. So that's the thank you and the homework page best practices. Now from here, the job's still not done from the DM setters. There's one more step that we got to take, which is send personalized resources. We really like doing this. It creates a lot of trust. It creates a lot of nurturing with the leads prior to the call. And it really, really helps us increase show rates and then increase close rates as well, because we basically create another touch point, and it's a very, very personalized one based on the conversation that we've had here and based on what we know about them and kind of their goals and their situation and what they want to do. So we typically have a spreadsheet just like this one. This is an example from one of our clients where we have a bunch of resources, and then all those resources based on, again, the conversation, the setters would go in here, they would pick one of the resources, and then they would send it to the lead. From there, again, the job's still not done. We take full responsibility on the DM side to make sure leads show up to the call. So the day before, we'd have a call reminder. Day of the call, the morning of the call to be specific, we have another call reminder where we make sure they have the Zoom link and they are aware that this is going to be a Zoom call. You'll be surprised how many people we have that just missed the appointment, and you're probably seeing this as well on your end, especially if you're pushing high volume, simply because they're expecting a phone call. So we always make sure they know it's a Zoom link. From there, they finally make it to the sales call. At this point, when they make it to the sales call, they got the personalized resources, they got the homework page, they had an entire conversation with us in the DMs here. We explained the business model through a personalized voice note that creates a lot of compliance. We understood their gap, qualified them. So at this point, they're number one, very likely to show up. Typically, our team average is 65% across all of our clients right now. As far as show rate, they're I think 66. Then our close rate is anywhere between 28 to 32% right now. Again, team average, this is not across one team. This is across the multiple different teams that we're working with right now. So we have the sales call. Obviously, from here, there's going to be two outcomes. Typically, number one, the lead gets closed and everyone's happy and we collect the money. And then what we would do is we have another voice note that the DM setter is responsible for sending to the lead. Once the lead joins once the client now joins the program, then we have a welcome message from the business owner that welcomes them in the community, walks them to the next steps and expectations, and basically congratulates them for taking action. We found this to be a nice touch. We don't really have to do this, but we just like doing it because we like taking care of our clients. Or the second outcome here is going to be lost, right? So we're not going to close the call. In which case, what we're going to do is we're going to proceed with a post-call follow-up over the DMs. Now, I'm going to make, again, another full video on this. This is so in-depth. This is probably one of my best trainings and best practices and best things that I implement with the DM teams that I work with. And the reason this works so well is the closer doesn't have the authority of the business owner. And as the DM setters, we do have the authority of the business owner. Many people think that they are talking to the business owner. So when we go in and we do a post-call follow-up, we're like, hey, how's the call with my closer? Or not, obviously, you wouldn't say closer, you'd say their name. What did you guys end up concluding? Cool, walk me through that. What's the thought process behind that? And then they'd be like, oh yeah, like Johnny was a great guy. It's like, cool, what did you guys end up concluding? Well, you know, everything's great, I really like the program, but, and then they'll typically have some sort of objection that they typically don't want to face on the call. They just get off the call, maybe they leave the call, but really anything else happens, they don't close. And then when we go into the DMs and we ask that, we uncovered the real objection, which might be, I need to speak to my wife, I think it's a lot of money, I don't know if I have the money, I don't know if I'm prepared, I'm too busy now. And then from there, we're able to go in and we're able to handle those objections. And when we handle those objections, obviously this takes a lot of work and this takes a lot of skill, and it's not something that we do with new DM setters or new teams. This is typically something that we implement 2 to 3 months into actually building and working with the DM team. So it's not the lowest hanging fruit, because it's a big lever and it's a hard lever to pull. But once we pull it, we're basically able to increase deals closed from DM setters by like 15, 20, even 25% on a monthly basis, which is great without more ad spend, with pretty much the same amount of lead flow. So super cool. And now here from objection handling, we're gonna have one of 3 outcomes. The first one is gonna be pipeline, which means we weren't able to turn them around, we weren't able to shift their limiting beliefs, or it's just money logistics, they don't have the credit and they don't have the cash on hand to be able to do this, in which case we're just gonna pipeline them and we're gonna follow up with them in a week, 2 weeks, 1 month, 2 months. And this even goes, really, we're never really stopping with this. We've had pipeline deals come through 2 years after we had the initial point of contact and we did this with a lead. The second outcome here, most of the time, is going to be booking a follow-up sales call with the same closer. And now that we're armed with whatever the objection was, and we've done a good job handling it over the DMs, or at least getting the lead to see things from a different perspective, it's much easier for us to book the second sales call and then arm the closer with that information. So then when the closer goes on that second call, they know exactly what the objections are and what the things are that need to be addressed. This is very, very helpful. And then the third outcome is going to be DM closing them. Now, this doesn't happen as often just because this is just such a safe play and such a safe route, and it just works so well. And this, on the other hand, requires so much skill and so much time and so much thought and effort put into it. But sometimes we really love and really appreciate a nice DM close. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is the top to bottom process that we're taking, that we're implementing in the teams whenever we start working with DM setters. Now, obviously, there's another completely different flow here for outbound messages that I have another video on the channel about, or I'm gonna have one soon if it's not up already. I hope this was valuable to you. One last thing that I want to say before I close this out is this is gonna work best if you have anywhere between 80 to 100K plus followers. We've done it with 50K followers, but I really like having a big audience to work with. Our biggest clients, they have 1 million, 2 million plus followers. And it works best if you have a proven product and a proven sales process, which means you're already selling, you're already converting, and you're doing so at a 5K or above ticket price. If that is the case and you want to chat to me about stepping into your company, me and my team, and building this entire thing for you so you can make an additional 100 to 300,000 a month, maybe even 500,000 a month or more, depending on the amount of lead flow that we can drive together by combining our efforts, then you can book a call with me. There's a link below this video. We're gonna go over your funnel, we're gonna go over your metrics, we're gonna reverse engineer everything and see exactly what the numbers are and how many DM setters we need if we were to even start doing this. And I'm gonna walk you through all the ins and outs of the entire process. And then we're gonna discuss implementation and see if it makes sense for us to work together. If not, at least you're gonna know exactly what you need to do to implement this into your team or hire someone internally to do it. Or if it does make sense, then we can just step in and do this entire thing for you and basically set it up within the first 10 days of working together. So that being said, appreciate you sticking to the end. I'll see you in the next one.